Okay, I have 201, but let me let El Dorado Room join, and I think we have another board member too that needs to join here. There's our wonderful El Dorado Room.
Over here.
Thank you.
Either way.
I think we just looks like we're just we have Mr. Sweet to join us, so we'll just give him a minute here.
And this is the moderator. Shall I do mic checks with Daniel Dahan?
Yes, please.
Thank you. All right, so Daniel Dahan, I have promoted you to panelist, and that means you can unmute yourself anytime, and you should be able to start your video as well. All right, there's your video. And if you click unmute me or unmute, you should be able to do a mic check.
Hello.
Hello. Fantastic. And as far as I can see, we are ready to begin. We have the El Dorado Room and Mr. Sweet.
Thank you. We'll turn it over to Judge Wong.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Paris. So we'll proceed with the petition for reinstatement of Daniel Hanania Dahan, and I see him promoted. Mr. Dahan, are you representing yourself today? Oops, you're currently muted. There you go.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, very good. And if we could go ahead and go on the record. So we are here on the record before the Board of Chiropractic Examiners, Department of Consumer Affairs, State of California, in the matter of the petition for reinstatement of Daniel Hanania Dahan. It's agency case number 2014-997, OAH number 2024040909. My name's Corin Wong. I'm an administrative law judge with the Office of Administrative Hearings, and I've been assigned to preside over this matter with the board. In order to establish a quorum of the board for the record, I ask that each member please respond audibly after I call his or her name. Dr. Paris.
Present.
Ms. Cruz.
Present.
Dr. Daniels.
Present.
Dr. Sandino.
Present.
Mr. Sweet.
Present.
Thank you, and let the record reflect that a quorum of the board is present. Next, if I may take the appearance of the Deputy Attorney General.
Thank you. Good afternoon. This is Deputy Attorney General Patricia Weber-Heim appearing this afternoon pursuant to Government Code Section 11522, representing the people of the state of California. I'm here to assist in fact-finding, and my role is not adversarial, but is intended to protect the public interest. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Heim, and good afternoon. And good afternoon, Mr. Dahan. Just to confirm, you're representing yourself today?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and were you aware that you could be represented by counsel at your own expense?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you desire to proceed today without counsel?
Yes, Your Honor, yes.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Mr. Dahan, did you hear the explanation of the procedural aspect of the petition hearings with the other matters, or would you like me to go over that process?
I did hear it, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay, do you have any questions about the process?
I do not, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you. Did you have any witnesses you wanted to call other than yourself?
No, Your Honor.
And do you have any additional documents?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, very good. Ms. Heim, your summary statement or petition packet, whichever you'd like to provide first.
Thank you. I will first mark for identification and offer into evidence as Exhibit 1, the petition packet with the accompanying documents. These documents have provided to everyone who is present here today as well, and is the same as the copy that I am presenting. Initially, we have the petition for reinstatement of revoked license with petitioner's answers to questions 1 through 7. 17 letters of support from friends at Momentum Business Capital, Transformers, MKS Instruments, Global First Travel, Dekel Capital, and that is spelled DEKEL, DAS Bookkeeping and Business Services Group, Performance Care Sports Medicine and Rehabilitation Center, Silver Spring Medical Center LLC, Consultants of America, Utah Pain Treatment Centers, Westside Chiropractic Wellness and Rehabilitation PLLC, Madeira Chiropractic and Rehabilitation, and that is spelled MADEIRA, Weston Medical Health Center, Complete Wellness, MedWell Spa at Farmingdale Wellness, Rabbinical Council of Orange County and Long Beach, and Joel Starr, and that is with 2 R's. There are approximately 140 certificates of completion for continuing education, and following the previous denial, there are an additional 8 hours in ethics that are included. The decision and order denying the previous petition for reinstatement of surrendered license, effective May 24th, 2022, in case number 2014997. The board's decision and order adopting petitioner's stipulated surrender of license, effective August 12th, 2015, in case number 2014-997. And the accusation in board case number 204-14997. There is also a letter to petitioner giving notice of hearing and proof of service dated April 23rd, 2024. And at this time, I would offer this packet into evidence as Exhibit 1.
Great, those documents will be marked collectively as Exhibit 1 for identification. Mr. Dahan, do you have any objection to Exhibit 1 being admitted for all purposes?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you. 1 is so admitted. And Ms. Weber, or excuse me, Ms. Heim, whenever you're ready with your summary.
Thank you. On January 1st, 1989, the board issued chiropractic license number DC 19744 to petitioner. This chiropractic license was revoked pursuant to a stipulated surrender of license effective August 12, 2015. On February 6, 2014, the board filed accusation number 2014-997 against petitioner. The accusation alleged 5 causes of disciplinary action for insurance fraud, unprofessional conduct, endangering the public welfare, unprofessional conduct, commission of acts involving moral turpitude and dishonesty, unprofessional conduct as knowingly making a document relating to the practice of chiropractic, which falsely represents the existence of a state of facts, and unprofessional conduct for participation in acts of fraud and/or misrepresentation. This accusation arose from petitioner's submission of false medical documentation and fraudulent bills for medical services not rendered to Allstate Insurance Company, and that fraud involved a scheme where petitioner and his corporation, PDI, received x-rays from chiropractors and attorneys throughout the U.S. and digitized them. They then emailed the x-rays to a reading radiologist who would dictate an x-ray pathology report. And meanwhile, an unlicensed PDI employee would create a biomechanical report containing medical findings, opinions, and diagnoses. Petitioner and PDI affixed the reading radiologist's name and/or signature to the biomechanical report, even though the reading radiologist had never seen the report. Petitioner and PDI provided both the pathology report and the biomechanical report to the referring chiropractor or attorney with the knowledge that such documentation would be submitted to insurance companies in support of a claim against a policy of insurance. Petitioner's creation of false billing statements in a scheme to assist persons making personal injury claims and to help chiropractors increase their personal injury referrals from attorneys was the other cause of action. And that scheme involved generating fraudulent bills for medical services that were not provided by upcoding, double and triple billing for services rendered, and billing for the interpretation of more films than existed for a particular patient, using the names of licensed physicians without authorization on billing statements. Examples of that fraudulent billing included billing for face-to-face evaluations when PDI and the reading radiologist never met or spoke to the patient, billing for delivery, fitting, and adjustment of devices, including orthotics, which PDI did not do, and billing for the interpretation of more x-rays than actually existed for a given patient. On July 13th, 2015, the board adopted petitioner's stipulated surrender of license and issued a decision and order revoking petitioner's chiropractic license. The decision became effective on August 12, 2015. In that stipulated surrender on page 4, paragraph 6, petitioner agreed that if he should ever petition for reinstatement of a license, all of the charges and allegations in accusation number 2014-997 shall be deemed to be true, correct, and admitted by petitioner. On December 4th, 2020, petitioner filed his petition for reinstatement of the surrendered license. He was heard by the board on January 25th, 2022. That petition was denied by the board effective May 25th, 2022. Pursuant to California Code of Regulations, Title 16, Section 365, petitioner has provided evidence of sufficient continuing education to fulfill the continuing education requirements for each year that his license was surrendered through the date of his petition for reinstatement of his license. We are here today because petitioner is now again petitioning for reinstatement of his license. And because the burden is on Mr. Dahan, I have no further questions and reserve any further statements until after his statement on his behalf. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Heim. Mr. Dahan, now's your opportunity to provide your evidence in support of your petition. So first, I'll go ahead and swear you in. If I could have you raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that the testimony you will provide in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, you may put your hand down. If I could have you start by stating and spelling your full name for the record, please.
Daniel H. Dahan, Daniel Dahan.
Great, thank you, Mr. Dahan. So now's the time for you to provide your testimony. As you may be aware from the prior proceedings today, we have a court reporter today taking down all your testimony. And of course, I'm listening to your testimony and taking notes, as are the board members. So if you would try to keep that in mind and try to keep the pace of your testimony on the slower side, that would be much appreciated. Also, just to remind you that the board members have had the benefit of reviewing your petition packet. So there isn't a need to repeat what's in the packet. But if there are parts of the packet that you'd like to highlight, you are still certainly welcome to do so. Also to remind you that the board is most interested in hearing about any rehabilitation you have undergone since surrendering your license. So with that in mind, whenever you're ready, you may begin.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. Thank you for everyone to give me this opportunity about the license. I don't believe the license is a right. I think it's a privilege. And unfortunately, due to my negligence, I was taken away from that opportunity to practice. I graduated in about 88 in Georgia, moved to California and opened up 2 practices. We were very successful from the very get-go. In 89, as soon as I got my license, the practices were proliferating at an unbelievable rate. I was very fortunate, and within less than a few years, these 2 clinics became extremely lucrative, extremely large in both aspects. I was doing so well that the New York Chiropractic Association contacted me and asked me whether or not I'd be willing to teach some of the practice management, which I had instituted in my own clinics. And I agreed to that. The month after that, this was in 1994, the month after that, and July, the Ohio Chiropractic Association did the same, then Illinois, then Georgia, and then Texas. So this was unusual for me. I had been practicing for 6 years, did not realize that this was something which was of value to the chiropractic profession. And so at the end of that year, I decided to start teaching seminars, which I did, national seminars. We hired a very qualified attorney to help us make sure that things were done appropriately. And then these seminars grew throughout the country. At the end of that year, sometime around the year of 95, I sold both of the clinics and I became a full-time consultant. I have not practiced since then. Since 1995, I have not seen a patient, I have not treated anybody, just been becoming a consultant. From the consultant, where we would give advice and large lectures to several hundred doctors and pay, and of course the doctors paid for those seminars, we became also a management company where we'd actually take these clients, they would become clients of our organization, and then we would teach them protocols about how to manage the clinic in the best way possible. Then in the year 2000, this is now several years into this practice, about 6 years that I'd been a consultant. In the year 2000, approximately, there was a popularity among all these doctors for x-rays to be read. At the time, there were only 2 other companies that did this. So I decided to purchase one of the new companies that had come out. It was designed by an engineer. And I purchased this for about $300,000. I purchased this software and developed the concept. We started reading x-rays throughout the country. These x-rays were sent to us. They would be read, they would be analyzed, digitized, and then sent back. Obviously today, it's not as relevant because most of those readings are digitized. But years ago, in the year 2000, this thing was quite innovative. And of course, everybody accepted to what it was. Unfortunately, and to my deplorable and extreme grave mistake, I did not pay attention to what was going on. I had been sued by Allstate in the state of North Carolina, and I won that suit. Then I had been sued in New Jersey by Allstate, and I won that suit. And then I got sued, and not related to the digitizing. These other 2 suits were unrelated to this, was strictly related to the fact that we were working with the clients, and they claimed that the clinics themselves were producing services, but we won the suits, and then the claims went away. On the other hand, the claim in California involved the lawsuit with PDI, this company which was called Progressive Diagnostic Imaging. We took x-rays, we read them, send them back. I'm not going to make up a story. I'm just going to tell you the truth, and I'm just going to tell you the facts. I'm 69 years old. At my age and given my position, there's no reason for me to make up a story. I was not vindictive. I was extremely vindictive. I was very upset with Allstate. They had sued me already in 2 states, even though we won. They had pursued me in every way possible. And this lawsuit, which was filed in California, was just complex. And so when I purchased this company and in the Progressive Diagnostic Imaging, I did everything I could to make sure that I would get paid for services. Unfortunately, that involved billing some of the codes which were inappropriate, which were fraudulent, and were absolutely wrong. I'm not denying this. This is the fact. This is what it is, and that's what it was. And collected about $114,000 over those 10 years. Allstate found out about it, sued me. They won the suit, and that was the end of it. Within about a year or so after the lawsuit in 2015, in 2015, the 2014, I was contacted by the board saying, you got sued, fraud, what should we do? We negotiated with my attorney and they said, surrender the license, which I did. In 2015, I surrendered the license. And it kept on going. As a consultant, the company that I had was quite proliferate. We had hundreds of clinics throughout the country, which we managed, we helped, not from a clinical aspect. This was strictly about protocols, systems, employees, how to make the clinic more successful. And they were throughout the country. When I surrendered the license, I realized that I had made a mistake. This was something which I shouldn't have done. But I was very upset, and I'll admit it. I was extremely, extremely mad. They had pursued me. They would not let go. And so I figured I would get them back. The wrong thing to do, especially for a consultant, a person of my stature, person of as I called myself, of integrity, and in my position to do such a thing was just ludicrous. But that's what I did. That's what happened. That's what I did. So in the meantime, once the license was revoked, which was back in 2015, I decided to change everything that I could and take whatever efforts was possible for me to resolve and absolve what I had done. I realized that I had made those mistakes. I got caught. Now, what was I going to do? The case was dismissed at the end. Not dismissed, it was settled. Yeah, that's the proper word. It's erased from my records and everything was closed down. But still, in the meantime now, the board wanted to know what I had done. So I created all kinds of materials and protocols which I could help the clinics. I created a compliance management program. It's a 102-page program, which serves in all the clinic management and outlines the documentation, coding, and billing. So all the clinics would be aware of what they needed to do. I also did 3 years of community service. I started teaching classes for free to young professionals, including doctors or anybody else that would come. These classes were absolutely free, and they were given in order to help the people that I taught, anyone who could show up, and we advertised this everywhere, to understand the importance of ethics. I also created a daily wisdom motivational podcast. Today, that podcast has 52,000 daily listeners. I'm very proud of it. The podcast itself is proliferated throughout the world. It has nothing to do with chiropractic. It deals more with ethics, understanding how to lead a proper life, and how to make your day a better day. Then I also created a business podcast. To date, we have 36,000 subscribers. All these are free. They're online. You can go to my YouTube channel, any of the other portals and platforms. They're there. People listen to them. There are 36,000 podcasts so far, 36,000 listeners. The podcasts deal with business ideas, how to ensure that your business runs smoothly. Again, this was all the work that I had to do, which I felt was necessary to amend for losing my license, for the things that I had done, which was absolutely inappropriate. I felt shameful. I felt embarrassment, especially in front of everybody, of course. But I wanted to take responsibility. I wanted to take the responsibility of this misconduct. I knew that I could do things which would help me and help everyone else know that what I had done was inappropriate. At the same time, I was remorseful from this fraudulent activity. Again, one might say, well, it's only $114,000 collected over 10 years, but it's irrelevant. Whether it was $1 or $100,000 or $10, it was fraudulent. There's no doubt about this. It's unequivocal. It's undoubtedly the wrong thing to do, but that's what I did. So in understanding this and in going through the process, I also figured, what could I do to make more amends? So then I also wrote a book that's called The Ultimate You. It's 355 pages, which is quite popular. We sold, this is already the third printing, and it's called The Ultimate You. again, I wanted to figure out a way, what could I do to help everyone that I knew, my friends, my family, the members. And then by this time, we have over 1,200 clinics that we manage nationwide. It's a very, very large amount of clinics that have to be managed. We have seminars 4 times a year, every 3 months. These seminars attend 150, 180 people. So I thought the book would be of great value. I also created a live show. It's on YouTube. The live show it's exposed to 35,000 doctors and has over 5,600 subscribers. These doctors, every time we make an announcement, they'll get a notification. And I realized that in doing so, more doctors would hear this. We have 865 videos. That's a lot of material. Ladies and gentlemen, if I could impress upon you, the work is monumental, and I'm very proud of it. And fortunately, again, all of this was still being done, but I'm just, again, to speak, being transparent, in my heart, I was still vindictive. Even though I had done the fraud, because I was so upset with what Allstate had done to my career, to myself, to my family, to my reputation, I was just adamant about it. But I went ahead and created all of this after the license was revoked. Then I also created planners, 10 steps to successful planner. I have a book which is called 56 Marketing Ideas. I have another book, 86 Management Directions. And I have 10 videos that can be purchased, habit builder videos. All this is online. It's all on the website. It can be done. It can be purchased. And those things became very, very popular. So I felt that for those 7 years, after the board had revoked my license, that I was prepared. I hired an attorney and I appeared in front of the board about a couple of years ago. And I was shocked. Again, being as honest as I can be, at my age, I'm a father of 7 children, a grandfather of, thank God, 22 grandchildren. There's no reason for me to make up a story. I was shocked when I received a letter from the board that denied my application. I just couldn't understand it. I had done everything that could be. But the board had a very astute and quite interesting view on what I presented. And the board said this. The board said, it's interesting that the petitioner, myself, did all these things, which is great, but he's still vindictive and still upset with Allstate. And it's true. It's really true. I was still upset with Allstate. I'm still vindictive. And even though all of this had been done, it was only to my benefit, but it didn't change my view. And if I could have done it again, I probably would have. So then I took some more time and decided, okay, I'm a consultant. We now have over 1,200 centers in 45 states that we manage. People from all over the country ask for questions. My name has become extremely popular. I'm really all over the place. Is it right that I committed fraud and not fix it? So once I read the board recommendation, not recommendation, but the way that the board viewed my answers, I realized I had to do something else. And now, instead of having this vindictiveness stay with me, instead of fighting the system, why not just make this announcement? So I created a new video, which I pinned on my channel, YouTube channel. For those of you who may or may not know this, that if you pin a video, it stays on top. It will stay on top, and every time you take it down, you have to put it back on top if you want to. So when they open the channel, which has over 5,500 subscribers or 35,000 views, it's a lot of people watching this. And I made the announcement that my license had been revoked. Then I started printing seminars where I mentioned that if you came to this seminar and you would learn about this, you will know that I lost my license. I started making the announcements. Now, again, I did not at any time lie to anyone. No one actually ever asked me whether or not I was licensed. I'm a consultant. What was the difference whether I'll be licensed or not? I taught protocols, systems, and the management. It made no difference whether I'm licensed in Ohio or California, because it was all business management. But I wanted to make that announcement because the board astutely and quite in a very smart way realized, which is quite amazing, that I was still vindictive, that I had not rehabilitated, and I admit it. So I thought, if I make that announcement, if I tell everyone I did lose my license, this is not the right thing to do. And perhaps now start teaching other doctors because of my influence, because of my great visionary plan, which I had written. And since I created all this material, why not take this opportunity and help other doctors? Well, you should know that once I made that announcement, there were 10,000 views. It's the most watched videos on my YouTube channels. 10,000+ views on that video announcing that I lost my license. And you're welcome to visit it if you want to. It's on my YouTube channel. And I realized at that time that there were many, many doctors who were quite concerned. I did receive a few letters, which were not very nice. Some of the letters where doctors said that I had committed the fraud and therefore they should have known that. And I sent each and every one of them an explanation. But then I also received 52 confidential letters from these over 1,256 centers in 45 states, which we manage. 52 doctors, represent about 5%, who wrote me a letter stating they had committed fraud, or they were thinking of committing fraud, or they were in the midst of committing fraud and they realized that obviously this could be an issue about their license. I was shocked. I was dismayed. Could not believe what this had done. And this, I believe, is what the board wanted me to do. Use my ability, use my opportunity, use this tremendous platform which I was given. And I realized many of the doctors, they get their license, they practice, and they see patients. But I don't see any patients. I don't treat any patients. I haven't put my hands on a patient in 30 years. But I speak to doctors all day long. My regular day is between 32 to 38 calls per day. A busy day is 40, a less busy day is 28. But that's how many doctors, every single one of them, separate states, different concepts, all about their clinic management. Again, like I said, I don't discuss diagnostics or treatments because it's not what we do. But I have the opportunity, and I've had this opportunity, to really educate these doctors about these protocols. So I created also a billing manual. With this compliance manual, which I created, which we don't sell. This manual, we give it free to every one of our doctors. Everything else we sell. This, we give it for free. We implement it. It creates an auditor in the office. And the auditor who's not allowed to be related to anyone who runs the office, who owns the office. It's an audit concept that shows that there's compliance in the billing and coding. The very, very specific fraud which I committed, I wanted to teach them not to do. I wanted to show them. And then I also use my own example, show them how, after years of experience and being, such proliferate speaker throughout the country, even though I had created all this material, that if you make a mistake, you will pay. You will lose your license. And then in your case, because you're a client, you won't be able to treat people. I cannot lose my clinic. I don't have a clinic. But I lost my license, which I basically lost my pride. I always wanted to do more than this, always wanted to become better, always. And this was the opportunity. So we emailed to all the clients throughout the country a letter stating exactly what had happened. I was very surprised also to receive over 850 letters stating that they were on our side, they were understanding of what had happened, and that the fact that I made that announcement made them realize how important this would be. We now have, on a regular basis, whenever we make an announcement, at the beginning of the video, we put the fact that I am not licensed anymore, and this was due to a case, and then I refer it to a letter which they can receive if they wish to. We also were scrupulous about making sure that everything was done properly. And it's interesting because for 26 years, I had done things properly. It's only in those last several years that I got caught for something that I did. And I just want to make it clear that I wasn't fraudulent on everything. I wasn't lying everywhere. I got this company when I bought it, the digitizing company. Of course, I didn't do the digitizing myself. I didn't do the reading myself. I hired chiropractors, I hired radiologists, and it was just a system. But I found a way, a most proliferate way, to upcode and take advantage of that so I could be vindictive towards Allstate. And by the way, it's only Allstate. It had nothing to do with State Farm or Prudential, nothing. Only Allstate. I wanted to get back at them. There's no doubt that this was the wrong thing, whether they did right or wrong, especially since we settled and the matter should have been closed. But it's only the board and the response, which I received last time from the board, that specifically stated what I needed to pay attention to. So today, I acknowledge there was wrongfulness, 100%. No matter what it was, how it was definitely wrong. I also take full responsibility what happened. No one coached me onto that. No one helped me. I gave the directives to the people at my business, and I told them exactly how to do what to do. I knew it, I understood it, and I took full responsibility for that. I'm remorseful because in my life, in the way that I operate, I believe in God, I believe in all the good things which have transpired. I'm very fortunate. I am from France. I'm from Paris, France. And at the age of 17, my parents sent me to the United States to learn. After a few years going to college and earning a PhD in chemistry, I decided to go into nutrition, and I did very well. I married a young lady, and 2 weeks ago, my wife and I celebrated 42 years of marriage. I am more than ecstatic and feel privileged to live in this country, more than privileged to have had the opportunity to become also a chiropractor and do so well in what I did. Unfortunately, I messed up. Just what it is. Again, as I said, I don't want to make up a story. I don't want to come up with these reasons or anything like this. I want to take full accountability for what I did. Accountability made me realize that yes, I could be very successful and I could speak in front of 200 doctors. Less than 3 weeks ago, we were in Vegas. It was one of our mastermind seminars, 212 doctors. When you speak, some of you may know, in front of 212 doctors, and you speak for 8 hours for 2 days, you have to be careful as to the material that you present. But I want you to know these are the best seminars. And I know maybe I shouldn't say this. I don't have an attorney to coach me. But I tell you that the very fact that I was not allowed last time when I petitioned for my license to get it, it was actually a blessing. At first, I was upset, but then I realized this was a warning. This was a teaching. This was a moment where I could actually make a difference and listen to reason as to why the license was not given, even though I had spent 7 years before I filed the first petition. 7 years. I knew I could do it before, but I felt I had to prepare all this material. But my heart and my mind weren't in the right place. And maybe first time you've heard this, but I want to thank you for not giving me my license on my first petition. It helped me. It corrected the last things which I felt were necessary. And it helped me rehabilitate into a more peaceful area where I understand that with the license comes a responsibility. Without disparaging all the practicing doctors out there, and I believe there's about 50,000 of them, I believe my responsibility is even greater because I don't speak to 2 or 3 or 4 patients or 2 or 3 and 5 family members. I speak to hundreds of doctors. And my YouTube channels, my videos, my podcasts are very popular. And I have this opportunity to help people. I have this opportunity to make sure that these doctors do not commit this fraud. So I waited a couple of years, worked through all of this, and taking classes at our synagogue on a regular basis. And then I decided I didn't want to hire an attorney. I was just going to write and express myself. I only have a few words in front of me, I don't have my notes. I don't have a whole paragraph prepared. I just wanted to tell the truth, show you exactly where I'm at today. And I wanted to make sure that I am no longer that potential danger to the community, to the profession, or to anyone else around me. A mistake, I made it, it's corrected. Please God, it's gone. And now I can stand freely in front of God, in front of my family members, in front of myself, and in front of a whole profession and say, I was doing very well. I was on the road to success. I made a mistake for the wrong reasons. I corrected it. It wasn't good enough. Somehow, with the blessings from heaven, I was told what should be done to correct the mistake even more, which came from the board. I followed your advice, and today I'm grateful. I'm grateful for where I'm at, and I would like the opportunity to get my license back so I can keep on telling the story even greater and better. But at the same time, regain this confidence that I made a mistake and I've been forgiven. I thank you very much for, if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Thank you, Mr. Dahan. Ms. Heim, cross-examination.
Yes, thank you. So, Mr. Dahan, I wanted to just start with asking you about your license. So you were licensed in California in 1989. Were you licensed as a chiropractor in any other state?
I was not, only in California.
But it sounds like you were working in other states long before that. What made you decide to get a license in California?
We came to California in 1988. I'm sorry, I graduated from Georgia University in 1988. In 88, at the end, after graduation, we moved to California, my wife and my children. We had 3 at the time. I was licensed in California in 1989. And by the way, I had top grades, almost perfect scores on my licensing. I practiced for approximately 6 years, between 89 to about 85. That's when the board from the chiropractic board from New York, Ohio, these different organizations in different states asked me to speak at, for a fee on their state's platform. I traveled there and I spoke about practice management. This was the business aspect of clinic, not protocols of chiropractic. What does it take for a practitioner to be and run a successful clinic? So as a consultant, which I took on as a job, about a year later, we started taking on clinics, accepting clients to help them manage their clinics nationwide on a business level, not, like I said, chiropractic. We didn't deal with any of the chiropractic. We dealt more with hiring staff, keeping staff motivated, making sure there was a proper flow, all of the things that have to do with management of the clinic.
Okay, so hands-on practice with clients in California, that was only 6 years?
Myself practicing, correct.
And why did you feel the need to maintain your California license?
It's an interesting question. First and foremost, I was advised by our attorney when I became a consultant. We had checked whether or not it was necessary for me to have a license in any other states, or whether or not I would be able to teach protocols of management from the business. And it was clear from our attorney that no, since you are teaching only about staff and how to maintain the office and set up the proper marketing, it has nothing to do with a chiropractic license. Anyone can do that. But you should keep your license just in case you are teaching at any time clinical protocols, or if you speak of a diagnosis or anything like this, especially in California, then you should have a license. So I also had a PhD in nutrition and chemistry. So the title of doctor wasn't an issue for me. On the other hand, it made no difference because everybody knows me as Daniel. So it wasn't something that I needed to promote. On the other hand, I earned a license. so I wanted to keep that license, and I wanted to keep it active, which I kept on going with listening to attending all the following courses, just for that reason.
Okay. So when you were talking about, so it's okay. So your license was surrendered, and then you commented on how you remained vindictive towards Allstate. I want to make sure I get the timing right, because you were talking about, so at that point, you had not petitioned previously for your reinstatement. Is that right?
So I purchased the diagnostic company in 2000. In 2014, I'm sorry, 2013, I believe, I was sued by Allstate. In 2014, the board decided to take action on my license, and in 2015, I surrendered my license.
Okay, so I'm going to stop you.
Okay.
So I'm talking about then after 2015. So between 2015 and when you applied for reinstatement in 2022, what I thought I heard you say today was you continued to feel vindictive towards Allstate. Is that correct?
Right. So there were 7 years between 2015 to 2022. 7 years went by. So I knew for a fact that in order to do things properly, to get my license back, advisement from my attorney at the time, I had to create all kinds of materials, things that would prove and support that I was not fraudulent, or that I wanted to forget or put behind me some of the things that had happened. So I created all these materials, the compliance manuals, the YouTube channel. I wrote the book. I wrote all of this material. I, at the time, believed that I was, to use the term that it was used in the petition, I was rehabilitated. The truth is, I was still mad at Allstate. I was. And at the time of my last petition, which was in 2022, when I appeared in front of the board, I was asked the questions. Why did you do this? How did this happen? And I'm not sure. I think it lasted an hour. I don't recall. It was a few years ago. And I was vindictive. I did not admit it, and I didn't think I was vindictive because I had created all this material. The case was closed, so what was the issue? It's only when I received the letter from the board, and I mentioned all this as the story developed, and the board stated, you were vindictive and you were still upset and blaming Allstate for your mistake. We don't think you're rehabilitated. We don't see where you're above that. We don't see where you've gotten rid of this issue. You're still blaming Allstate. Well, it was just like a light hit me and said, really? That's not what I meant. But as I dug deeper into this, and I started meeting on a weekly basis with the rabbi of my congregation, and he started analyzing this whole thing, stating, listen to yourself speaking about Allstate. And you're not using this mistake as a springboard to help yourself or others. So why don't you just stop with Allstate? Think about the fraud. Admit what you did. It was your mistake. Forget Allstate ever existed. Teach other doctors not to make that mistake. Use this opportunity to become a vehicle where people would now gain this knowledge, which I learned, which the wrong way, the hard way, the difficult way, the expensive way. Take that information and help other doctors not commit that fraud. And that's what I've been doing the last couple of years.
Okay, thank you. So the book that you mentioned was prior to the 2022 petition for reinstatement. Is that right? You had already written that?
The book, believe it or not, as you can see, is 454 pages, extremely popular. I wrote it because I believe doctors should not do things which were inappropriate. I believe that. The part, if I may express myself properly, I wrote the book, but in me, inside of me, I was still upset with Allstate. I still blamed them. I still thought they were the cause of this mess because I had done everything right. But in reality, Allstate was upset with me. As a matter of fact, they sued me in 2 other states, and I won. I made them upset. You can imagine. Allstate doesn't lose cases. But at the end of the day, I committed the fraud. It's only once I realized, and I admitted this, that I could understand on a personal level, on a soulful level, on a internal level, that once you fully acknowledge that there's a wrongfulness and you realize that you take the responsibility for what you've done, and you take that aspect, that knowledge that you've gained, that maturity, that level, that stage, that partition that now brings you back into reality, you now can be truly remorseful and take that information. Now you could file it, or you could use it as a tool to help others. And it was incredible, incredible light for me. It was an incredible understanding of the part of my life, which I was so upset with, I never took in consideration. And I did. And as a matter of fact, once I published this video, none of my videos get 10,000 views. 2,000, 4,500, none. This video, which I created, and I made the announcement that I did commit fraud and I lost my license, which I pinned on my YouTube channel, got over 10,000 views. And every couple of months, I re-upload it so that it could be repinned and get subscribed. Because every time you pin a video and you re-upload it, it goes back to all the subscribers. They read it again, and for more information. And then I started posting this information at the seminars. I started teaching them. And it was quite exhilarating. Exhilarating is the word. In finding out that I could help other people. I should help other people. Use that information and help other people not make those mistakes. And the board said it. Instead of using that information as a consultant, you could be a danger to the community. And it just bothered me to no end, thinking that the board would call me a danger to society, would call me a danger to the public or the profession because I committed the fraud. So I figured, well, if I tell everybody about it, and if I can help them not commit the fraud, and if I can have not 2 or 3, but thousands of doctors listening to that information and saying, he's right, it's not the way to do it. And so this compliance manual, which we have today, which is quite thick and extremely, extremely thorough and comprehensive about every single detail to ensure that there is a less than 0.20 margin of error, is all about the billing, which is a mistake that I made. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you. I wanted to, so I know you were mentioning that you're providing all of this information for free, but are you receiving ad revenue for your YouTube channel?
I'm sorry, am I what?
Receiving ad revenue? Are you receiving any kind of profit from operating your YouTube channel?
No, I'm not. No, I did not monetize it. I'm not sure if you're aware, but if you monetize the podcast, anything, if you have more than 5,000 podcast followers, which I do, I have over 52,000, you can monetize it. I don't monetize any of them because if you monetize them, the platforms make you give them permission to put any kind of advertising. And I'm not agreeing to this. So none of the channels, podcast, webinars, none of them are monetized.
Okay, thank you. And then what about, you mentioned the seminars. Are you doing those seminars for free?
When a member joins our company, they become a member for 1 year. After that, they become lifetime members. We instituted this actually in 2016. Up until 2016, if a doctor joined our group for the first year, the second year was less expensive, and then the third year was even less expensive. After 2015, when I surrendered the license, we changed this and made it after the first year, everyone becomes a lifetime member. Again, part of what I felt was necessary to give back to the doctors. This was before my first petition.
Okay, thank you. But right now, so if someone joins, they still are paying money at some point. Is that right? So the first year they pay money?
Yeah, if they join today, they have to pay for the year. Now we take on very, very few clients. We used to take on anywhere between 5 to 6 clients every week. We now take on 1 to 3 every 3 months. And the sheer reason is just the volume. We just have so many clients. It's impossible for me to maintain that. The 2 other consultants that used to work with me are no longer working. They've retired. So by myself, it's just not possible.
Okay, thank you. And but also the book. So this, where can people get your book?
You can get it on Amazon. I can send you a free copy if you wish. And it says on the very first page that all the proceeds of this book, are given to a non-profit organization where I teach every single Wednesday night for the last 5 years. These are young professionals who are setting up their business. It's called Young Business Professional. They're all around Southern California. The class is free. It lasts an hour from 7:30 to 8:30. They can have this book for $1 donation. And then if they buy it online, the donation goes to this company, which is called Orale, which is a nonprofit organization. So I don't get any proceeds from the book at all.
It sounds like along the way here, you're basically profiting from admitting that you committed fraud.
I apologize. I didn't understand your comment.
I'll say it again. It sounds like, just because what you're giving us here is a sales pitch, basically. It sounds like everything you're doing is basically profiting off committing fraud. And that's something, and I don't think the board said that to you the last time that clearly, but it sounds like I'm not hearing anything about I've rehabilitated myself following the denial of my petition for reinstatement in 2022. I hear that you're still profiting from your fraud.
So, with all due respect, there's nothing for sale. None of these items at all are for sale once they become a client. We stopped taking on any new clients other than a total of 6 for the last 2 years. We have not taken one client. This is since the statement, the refusal from the board, the decision from the board of the license. We stopped. I had to focus onto what it is that I had to do. And I apologize if the impression which I'm giving you is monetizing, because as you can see, all the material, everything that you see published, which I listed clearly on the on my letter, none of them, 0, are charged. They're all free to all clients. We did not take any new clients other than those 6 doctors who are family members of our current clients, and so we took them on throughout the country. We do not advertise. All my advertising has stopped. We do not promote. All promotions have stopped. We're just maintaining. When these doctors come to this seminar, there's nothing for sale. The seminar is paid for by the vendors who sell machines. None of the vendors give me $1. There's absolutely no relationship whatsoever with the vendors, but they pay to set up the seminars and to bring doctors to the seminars. These doctors are our clients. As I stated, when I was When I made that first petition, at that time, I wanted to make sure that I did whatever I felt was necessary to show the board that I was not a threat, that I could be practicing and I could have my license and not be a threat or the admission of the fraud which I had committed. The board, which I have the decision in front of me here, clearly stated this license, and it said, I believe that everything was done correctly and ethically. This is speaking about me. It says, although the petitioner stated he is remorseful, he still believes he did everything correctly and ethically, which I recall clearly and undeniably that during my petition last time, I clearly stated I didn't do anything wrong. Allstate came after me. Allstate was the problem. Allstate, Allstate, Allstate. Then it said, as such, the petitioner is not remorseful for engaging into fraud, which means I didn't at all acknowledge there was fraud. He did not take accountability for his fraudulent conduct, instead blaming contractual technicalities. And then acknowledging the wrongfulness of his action is an essential step to rehabilitation. When I read this, I realized that the board was saying, you think, you, Daniel Dahan, that because Allstate did whatever to you, you had the right to commit fraud, and at no time, you admitted that you committed the fraud. On top of that, you committed and you acted fraudulently, and you didn't tell anybody about it. You didn't do a thing, and you didn't acknowledge it. You did nothing. You prepared all this material, but you didn't do that. On top of this, it says, the petitioner is in position to influence others in the chiropractic community. And I read this and I thought, it's true. I did commit the fraud. I made the mistake. Why not say it? Make an announcement. So I created the video and it got 10,000 views. So I created this manual, compliance manual. Now, the compliance manual was strictly geared towards billing, but that's because that was where I made the mistake. It wasn't in practice flow or patient treatment or in EHR forms or marketing. I committed the fraud strictly on the billing. So I created that manual from after that petition, and I made the announcement, and I made it clear to everyone till today. This is what happened. Then we closed our doors, did not take on any more clients, except, as I mentioned, just a couple clients here who are related to our clients, and therefore as a favor. We also made sure that everything that we did now is served towards the purpose of letting these clients know not to commit the fraud. I made this a new agenda as a consultant. Because billing, I don't have anything to bill. There's nothing for me to correct. I don't own a digitizing company. My company was closed. I don't treat patients. I don't do reports. I don't give treatments. I haven't touched a person in years. So what billing fraud could I commit? What billing errors could I stop that I could teach doctors and I could help them? And as I mentioned, I was very pleased to know that 52 doctors contacted me once I published this video and claimed that they were either committing fraud, were intending to commit fraud, or committed fraud before. And through that, every one of those doctors heard and listened to what I had to say. Not the right thing to do. It's a mistake, irrespective of the reasons. So I feel that it was part of the rehabilitation which I needed, and use the information, use the mistake, use the errors in judgment, the lack of focusing on the right judgment. Use that opportunity and share it with others. Since I am a proliferate speaker nationwide, and so many people come to the seminars, why not take this opportunity? Because as I mentioned, I can't spread this to patients. I can't fix a clinic. I don't have a clinic. I don't see patients. I just speak to doctors.
Excuse me, with all due respect, Your Honor, can we focus on rehabilitative efforts? I think we've heard this rhetoric for long enough.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
I think we're repeating ourselves. I don't mean to overstep. I think we've heard this testimony multiple times now. Excuse me. Thank you for indulging me, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Heim, your next question.
Thank you.
Thank you, yes. So what have you done since your last denial in terms of rehabilitation to show the board that you have rehabilitated yourself?
Well, I created this manual. I created this video, which I posted. I make the announcements at every single seminar. We send continuous emails about making sure that no one should commit that. And I personally, of course, take on, it's a weekly class, which I have every Saturday morning between 9 and 10.
Your Honor, once again, with all due respect, I think we've heard this answer already. Thank you.
Ms. Heim, I don't know why you asked what he's done in rehabilitation since surrender when that's what he said he did.
Okay, thank you. Then I have one final question. What would you do if your license was reinstated?
What would I do differently?
No, what would you do with a reinstated, if your license was reinstated, what is it that you are going to be doing as a doctor of chiropractic?
I would keep on doing what I'm doing today.
Thank you. I have nothing further.
Thank you.
All right. Mr. Dahan, is there any further testimony you wanted to provide on redirect?
No, I appreciate the questions.
All right, so I'll check with the board to see if there are any questions. First, Dr. Paris.
Thank you, Judge Wong. Good afternoon, Mr. Dahan.
Hello.
I do have a few questions, and first is I'm wondering, are you consulting with any chiropractors in the state of California currently?
I am.
Okay, thank you. And I was a little bit confused, or I didn't know if it was, maybe it felt like it was being obfuscated, but when you were saying I won and there was some confusion with the issues with Allstate versus perhaps what were criminal convictions. And so I just was hoping you might clarify for me, what were you actually criminally convicted of?
So in 2 states, North Carolina and in New Jersey, 2 of the doctors who came to our seminars committed fraud. The doctors committed fraud. Allstate claimed that we actually instructed them on how to commit the fraud. The case was won by Allstate. We appealed it, and it was taken to the New Jersey Supreme Court, and it was reversed, and case was closed. Case in North Carolina never got to court, never went anywhere. Allstate closed the case. And the doctor who committed, now these doctors were not clients. They attended seminars at the time.
I'm asking about you, though.
Oh, so we were
asking about you.
So in the case of New Jersey, 12 of us were sued. I was one of the party that was sued.
Do you have any criminal convictions on your record?
I do not.
Okay. Thank you. I want to understand your understanding of whether or not you are currently licensed or unlicensed as a DC, as a doctor of chiropractic in California.
I am not licensed, and I make it very clear that I'm not licensed. At the same time, you have to understand I have not practiced for over 30 years.
Understand. Thank you. And when was the last time, especially in light of the fact that you're consulting with chiropractors in California and you're doing a lot of education and you've reiterated to us in great detail how many people are seeing your videos, um, watching the videos, buying the books, etc. When was the last time you have had the opportunity or have reviewed or familiarized yourself with the rules and regulations of licensing and the scope of practice in California?
About 6 weeks ago, knowing
Well,
that
part,
knowing that I was going to be um, interviewed today.
which sections or areas did you review?
Ethics.
Um, in our rules and regulations, particularly, do you recall when you say ethics? I'm wondering what area that might have been.
I apologize, I didn't. I was considering whether or not I should hire an attorney to represent me. The attorney that represented me last time for the first petition, he suggested that I should look at the rules and regulations, but I didn't find anything personally that to pertain to me as a practitioner, because I don't treat any patients. I don't have any records, and our management has nothing to do. As a matter of fact, a large percentage of the doctors that we work with, some of them are practitioners by themselves, some of their associates. We deal more with, how to interact with between the doctors, how to hire staff, so it's practice management. But I couldn't see anything in the rules and regulations that would pertain to what I was looking for.
Let me just clarify. Thank you for that. You couldn't see anything when you looked and reviewed, or you couldn't see the rationale to review those?
No, the rationale was his idea. He mentioned to me that it would be a good idea, but I couldn't see anything that would pertain to me in regards to what I was doing.
You did not think it was a good idea?
No. It was a good idea because he mentioned it. I didn't think it was necessary because I didn't see anything in it afterwards.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That's what I meant, but you did not think it was a good idea. So let me be clear. You did not review those?
No, I did review it. The parts of ethics, I was looking through it in reading, was looking for anything that had to do with ethics.
Okay.
My attorney felt, who did not represent me today because we decided not to. The attorney felt that it would behoove me and would be important to review the parts that have to do with ethics and rules and regulations to see whether or not something would come up that I could express, but I didn't see anything that pertained to me.
So within the rules and regs, there's areas that include using the title doctor. Would those apply to you?
Actually, I was asked that question, the last one also, because I have a PhD in chemistry and nutrition. I don't use at all the letters DC after my name. I use just strictly my doctor of chemistry or nutrition.
Okay. And is that clearly differentiated on your website or with your consulting, especially when you're consulting with fellow with licensees or chiropractors?
Yeah, absolutely. Even more so now since the announcements that we had made, which was on the video. At the end of each video, we have the last page on the video which shows Daniel Dahan is not a licensed chiropractor. His license was revoked on such date. People say, by the way, I'm sure with all due respect, that if you go to the website, it shows that my license has been, revoked. It shows that. So at no point in time would I represent that I have a license, or would I even need to do that? That would just be not the right thing to do at all.
My concerns revolve around the context with which the term doctor's used and in the environment that it's being utilized, and that I was not seeing. I have been to your website. I have seen the video. And I'm not seeing it put into what I might consider a proper context. But I understand. You say you have a PhD and that you make that clear to your consulting clients and the chiropractors that you do consulting with in California.
Correct, especially in California, for that matter. Were you, with all due respect, were you, I don't know if I could ask you a question. Did you watch the video about the one that I pinned? Is that what we're speaking about?
That's the only video that I was
Oh,
able
okay.
to view.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that. Now, have you paid any cost recovery to the board?
I believe $4,000, something like that, a couple of weeks ago.
And what is your total cost recovery to the board?
I was asked from Valerie, who had sent me a letter stating that I needed to pay about I think it was a $4,200 or $4,300 check, which I sent. That's all I was asked.
Okay. You're not aware of any other cost recovery other than that conversation with Valerie from the board?
It does say somewhere, I don't recall where, I don't want to take too much of your time, that should I reapply and the license be accepted, there's a $12,000 fee, something like that, if I recall. You know what I'm speaking about? I'm not sure.
I just wanted to get an understanding of what you were intimately knowledgeable of. So we don't need to go back, and I just wanted to get what your understanding was there.
So far, I paid about $4,000, $4,500, somewhere around there.
Okay.
So far.
And the cost recovery is the board's costs, what it costs to go through the enforcement process, et cetera. I don't know that I would refer to it as a fee. And I don't know that you paying it is contingent on the decision that we make today.
No, not at all. No. I was told this is just an application fee, or I apologize if I'm not using the right term, but that's all it was. No guarantee, it's just a fee, and the outcome has nothing to do. But somewhere in the documentation, if I recall correctly, there is a fee of $12,000 or so should the license be renewed, if I recall correctly.
Okay. Okay, thank you. I think I have a good understanding of your understanding of all this. I appreciate that. I have no more questions. I'll let the other board members continue.
Dr. Adams, any questions?
You stated, Mr. Dahan, that you make no money from your YouTube channel, your podcast, your books. I shouldn't say you don't make money. You make money, but you donate the money. Do you donate the profits, or you donate the everything?
I don't make any money, and it makes no money other than the books. The books are the only ones that earn dividends. That money is donated as it is collected directly to this company called ORLA. None of the other programs, all the other programs are free.
And do you have a financial interest in the company that you donate the money to?
No, none whatsoever.
Do they promote you?
They do not.
I thought you said that you donated I thought you said you donate to a company that you teach for every week.
I teach for them, but they don't promote my service.
Aren't you, when you teach for them, aren't they promoting your class that you teach?
But the classes are free, and the classes themselves that are being promoted these are not chiropractors. They're young professionals. There's no fee. There's no joining. There's no group. It's a free organization.
You answered. Thank you.
Sorry.
You say you don't earn any money from your YouTube channel, but you said you have over 1,200 clients in 48 states.
Correct.
And those 1,200 clients pay you a fee each month?
No more. No, since 2015, all clients became at 100% lifetime members. But you should know that many, probably a large number, if not the largest number of those clients that were only clients for a year, 2 or 3. After that, they stopped paying. There's only so
But
many.
they did pay. But they did pay at some point.
At one point, of course, yes, they joined and they paid.
So a lot of the reference letters that you have state Dr. Dahan. What are you a doctor of? Do you have a doctor degree?
I have a PhD in chemistry and nutrition, and I had, until a few years ago, a license of chiropractic.
And so when you advertise yourself or promote yourself as Dr. Dahan, you say Dr. Dahan PhD, or do you just leave it as Dr. Dahan, period?
Dr. Dahan, period.
So you don't put PhD after your name?
Most of the advertising, the answer is no, sir.
Okay. I have no other questions. Thank you.
Ms. Cruz, any questions?
No questions.
Dr. Daniels, any questions?
Yeah, hopefully just one. Mr. Dahan, have you watched yourself that video that you were referencing, that you said that you were confessed to your wrongdoings?
Have I watched the video?
Yeah, I mean, you did it, but did you sit down and then watch it after?
Probably. I mean, you know, it was edited, so probably. It was quite some time ago now.
Okay. And so you stated in your packet and just now that you described in detail the wrongdoing. Is that your statement?
Meaning, what do you mean? In the video?
Correct.
So the video was an announcement that I made regarding, you know, what the fraudulent action and the losing of the license.
Correct. You said, though, in your testimony in your packet that you described in detail what that was in the video.
Not sure, you know, don't quite. I think it was just a matter of saying I did as much as I made the announcement. Not sure how many detail. To be honest with you, I haven't watched the video in some time. So whatever information I did, whatever I put in there, I made it clear that it's the license which was revoked. To what extent the details, I apologize. I wouldn't remember that.
Okay. Well, I watched the video, and to Dr. Adams' point, above your head, it says doctor, and there is no...
Okay, I'm sorry to interrupt,
Yeah.
but we're talking about this video and there's no evidence in the record of the video, of the content of the video.
It's
So you
listed.
can't really add it.
It's listed in his packet of the video that he did, and it's specifically listed in his packet in his statement.
I understand that. If it's listed what's in the statement, you can talk about it, but you can't talk about what you saw in the video because the video is not in record.
So I asked my question. I have no further questions.
All right, Dr. Sandino, any questions?
Yes, a couple, and just the concern of the misleading use of doctors, you know, big, but are you over your vindictiveness with Allstate now?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear. Are you over what? I'm sorry.
You still feel vindictive with Allstate? How are your feelings with Allstate now?
No, as a matter of fact, we have a great relationship. We've spoken to the attorneys who actually have left the firm. We've become friends. I understood what they did. I agreed to what had happened, and I moved on forward. That's it. You know.
Okay. All I got. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Sweet, any questions?
Yes, I have just a couple. Mr. Dehan, you said you don't intend on, even if your license is reinstated, you don't intend on treating in chiropractic, is that right?
That is correct.
Okay. And I saw that there were several character letters in your packet, but the majority of them seem to be from 2014. Is that accurate?
That is correct.
Okay. And then I thought I saw one or two from 2020.
I think it was last time we applied for this, the attorney had asked me to get letters. I called, I had asked him how many letters he wanted. He said, get me, a few of them. So I did. I realized that these letters could be attached. So
And did you make any efforts to get any more recent ones since the submission of this application?
I didn't, sir. I could, but I didn't.
Okay, I don't have any further questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, just checking to see if any board members have any additional questions.
I have one. Just if we could clarify the dates in college, university, dates of matriculation for any other doctoral level degrees. Dr. Dehan, can you give us the dates when you received your PhD or any other doctoral degree?
PhD was in 90, the year 1990.
Thank you.
Graduated chiropractic 88.
Where was your PhD from? Where did you receive that?
Alabama University.
1990 Alabama. Thank you.
All right, any further questions from any other board members? Okay, hearing none, I'll take closing. Thank you, Mr. Dehan, for your testimony. You're excused as a witness. I'll take closing arguments. Ms. Heim?
Yes, thank you. I do have one little bit that I want to say, and I just want to again note that my role here is not adversarial, but it is intended to protect the public interest, and my role has mostly been to ensure that the board receives adequate information from which to make a decision. And I just wanted to note that throughout the questioning and the answers that were provided today by Mr. Dehan, I don't personally hear that Mr. Dehan is taking responsibility for his actions, or that he has truly acknowledged why his license was actually disciplined. I'm only hearing that when the board denied his petition for reinstatement in 2022, that he needed to say something about the fraud, but what he's saying sounds very disingenuous. And I just wanted to call that attention to the board. I have no position myself. I did also want to call the board's attention to page number 140, BCE 000140 in the packet. This is the order. And this is where in paragraph 5, it does note that respondent shall pay the agency its costs of investigation and enforcement in the amount of $12,000 prior to the issuance of a new or reinstated license. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Dehan, your closing argument.
I just heard what was just said. I apologize for this. I felt that when on my first petition, original petition, I went and with an attorney, and I was asked by the attorney, in order to file the proper petition, I really should show all of the rehabilitative material and things that I had done. And so I prepared a whole list, and I did quite thorough, between the management, the steps, everything, the book, everything else. And I felt at that time, and so did the attorney, that we had complied and that we really had done everything we could to earn the license back. We were both very disappointed, myself obviously more, when the license was denied. We couldn't understand what had been done. I mean, I proposed all this material. But then realized from the answers to the board, what the board was looking for, and made it clear, was to take accountability, not to be a danger to the public, to admit the fraud, not to be vindictive, to do those things. So I took all the steps which I felt were necessary for the last couple of years. And when I felt all of this had been met and that I could be of great service to other doctors nationwide, and made the announcement and took every step possible to ensure that this information of what I had done can now be used as a springboard to help other doctors become better, do better. Because as I mentioned, I can't help patients. I don't treat patients. But if I could be of that service, that would be the greatest thing that I could do in pursuing my career. If I was not able to convey that information, I apologize, but that's why I created all the other materials, including the announcements and the videos and everything else. I appreciate the time and hope that this will be seen with honesty and integrity in the work that I have done so far. Thank you for everyone listening.
All right, thank you. So that concludes the hearing. The record's closed, the matter's submitted, and we are off the record. Mr. Dahan, as you may have heard me say at the end of the prior hearing, if we were here today in first, I guess first, the board will meet in closed session later today to discuss your case and make a decision. So you won't receive a decision today, but you'll receive one by mail once one has been made and drafted. Also, if we were here in person today, you would receive a form from the court reporter that has the information necessary in case you wanted to order a copy of the transcript. But since we're not here in person, OAH will send it to you. Given the hour, I'll probably be, I earlier said tomorrow, but I realized today's Friday, so I'll probably be Monday. And that, again, is just for your records in case you want a copy of the transcript.
Thank you.
And before you disconnect, let me just check with the court reporter to see if she needs any spellings.
There were a few that flew by me, but I couldn't write them down. So for now, I'm just going to say we ended at 333 and 60 pages.
Okay, thank you, Madam Court Reporter. Okay, thank you, Mr. Dahan. That concludes the hearing, and you're free to disconnect unless you have any questions.
Very much.
Thank you. And I'll turn the matter back to Dr. Paris.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Judge Wong, and thank you, Mr. Dahan, for appearing today.
Thank you.
So let's see, I believe we can move to agenda item 21, which is closed session. What I'd like to do is just give everyone a quick bio break. So if we can take 5-10 minutes, I guess. Let's take 10, and then we'll come back and we'll come back in closed session to deliberate.
Thank you.
Is that okay? Any objections?
Mr. Paris, I'm just checking. Do you need me for that, or am I finished? Did anyone have any questions? I wasn't sure if
you're actually done. You actually cannot be in closed session.
Okay, just making sure. Thank you.
Judge Wong, same question for the court reporter.
I don't need anything else. So as long as you have everything you need.